Great. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Journey Radio Show. I am your host, Kemley Whiteside. If you are listening on the line tonight, please make sure that you mute your phones unless you are going to chime in with any of the conversation tonight. And for all of the Periscope people that are joining us, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I send love and blessings to all of you. Little short announcements. To end the 2016 year, we are going to be closing out the Journey Radio Show next Monday at 8 p.m. That will be my last broadcast for 2016 until 2017. And I would like for you guys to make sure that you share with everybody so that they can join us on our last Periscope and on our last streaming for the year next Monday at 8 p.m. Also, make sure you follow me on all social media outlets. Thank you for the hearts. I love the hearts. Please continue to send those hearts. I truly appreciate all of you. I want to say 2016 has been a tremendous, wonderful year of blessings and great encounters. And I'm excited what 2017 is bringing. We have amazing things coming for you. So we're preparing ourselves to get 2017 rolling. Tonight's topic is going to be a topic that for most people, we deal with this on a day-to-day basis. Our topic tonight is toxic people hinder our growth. And it's really relevant that we do deal with a lot of people in our circles or even people we have met or people who at some point in our lives we have encountered. And something about them got you to be disturbed, got your peace probably messed up. Who knows? But we've all encountered them in our lives, in our journeys. And I want to talk to you about the various types of people that come into your life that are toxic people. What I'm trying to have you understand is that we have to identify these things. But remember that most of the time it's not because it's the person. Most of the time it's a behavior. So when you have a behavior and you don't identify it and you're not sure what it really is, understand that if your spirit is not feeling well about it, that means there's something about it that's toxic, it's poisonous, not because the person wants to be that way, not because the person chooses to be this way, but because they just don't understand or probably don't know, or maybe they're not even aware. The Bible even shows us how some of the people were dealing with certain situations that they didn't even know that was bothering them. So we have to be able to realize that certain things in our lives come in seasons and some of them stay permanently if we choose to make them permanent. I was speaking in my book on page 65 about staying away from toxic people is critical for our growth. We should never participate in an environment that brings us down or keeps us from growing. There are going to be a lot of people who are always going to keep you down, no matter how good you do something, no matter how great you're doing something, no matter how you even went your way above and beyond to do it. That person will always have to find something negative to say. They wouldn't even recognize or acknowledge the good that you're already doing. So keep in mind that's a behavior. Be wary, not just of toxic people, but also of those who are comfortable and complacent in their lives. There are some people that just love to be miserable. Some people who just love to deal with their past for the rest of their lives. There are some people who just love to bring up past situations over and over and over again. And you also have to understand that it's a behavior. It's something that is stuck in them that they have to get delivered from or released from so that God can open up whatever ways to get them to be in a complete place of their lives. It's very difficult. It's not an easy thing to do, but we have to identify them so that we can understand why our behaviors are the way they are. They who do not wish to better themselves will not seek to lift you up or help you better yourself. See, if you can't better yourself, or if you're one of those people who is always like depressed and down, don't talk to somebody else about being happy. because you're not even practicing it. You're not even exercising it. You're not doing something that's setting an example for someone else to see that they have to pursue that or do that. So a lot of times we don't realize that we want to encourage somebody, but we're not even practicing how to be encouraged to ourselves. I know it's not easy. I know it's not something that we can all do easily. Some of us are gradually getting to that place, and it's fine if you're getting to that place, but don't bring someone else with you in that place that you're still stuck in. Try to understand that everybody is not going to get where you are as quickly as you have gotten there. Some of us take longer to exercise our giftings. Some of us take longer to exercise where we're heading in Christ. So even when that person is exercising something that you're not even really happy about, because they're not where they are supposed to be, don't be very judgmental about it, and try to understand that they're growing in a process that only God can allow them to grow. Some of us are not there yet. So a lot of Christians, as we have to be mindful when we are ministering to other people, or when we are actually testifying to someone or giving someone any kind of encouragement, that we're not being judgmental about where they are. Because right now, some of these people are probably experiencing that same process of being down or degraded, and they're trying to get out of it. And here you come thinking that you're doing them a favor, but you're really not. So be mindful that we can be in a place where we can become very judgmental about the growth of some of us growing in Christ, just because we already got there, and we want others to be there too. So let's take into consideration how it's not easy to do, but it takes time to do, and we have to help one another get there. Toxic means poisonous. Poisonous means that you're dumping toxic waste. Anything that is wasted, anything that's coming out of your mouth that's not positive, that's not encouraging, that is not uplifting, it is wasted. It is a waste that you continue to try to dig into something or try to say something, and you're pretty much just speaking in vain. Keep into consideration and keep in mind that anything that is being negative is still a poisonous thing. It's still a wasted thing. So you have to be careful that whatever comes out of your mouth, whatever's in your thought, is something that's going to be positive oriented, that before it comes out of your mouth, it doesn't fall on the trash bin. That you want that person to basically get it. You want that person to walk out uplifted. But if you know it's not going to do that, it's best to be quiet. Unhealthy tendencies. We have a lot of unhealthy tendencies, meaning that we have a lot of unhealthy habits. It even could be about spending too much money or even eating too much. Be honest with yourself, people. We're going into a new year. I really want to see in 2017 that we begin to own up to some of the bad habits or the bad things that we are actually doing or speaking, so that we can enter a year into a healthy situation, a healthy year, a brightful year, and leave those unhealthy tendencies, those unhealthy bad habits that you have in the past. You got to remember that people are watching you. People everywhere are watching you. You don't have to be on the forefront for people to watch you. You don't have to be on the pulpit for people to be watching you. You can be walking and people are watching you. People are easily watching you. I just came from the store. I literally had to just go in because I needed to use the restroom. And someone at the Wawa said to me, "I know you." Mind you, I've never really seen this person. I don't even know who they are, but they knew me. See, you never know who's watching you. So had I come in there with any kind of behavior or anything out of place, that person would have been like, "Oh my goodness, I can't believe that's the same person that I see all the time." So now you have to see people are watching you. So don't walk into a place where you are in unhealthy behaviors, things that are happening to you, tendencies, habits that you have to fix and correct, because it's toxic. It's poisonous. It's draining you down. It's bringing you down. It's making you feel miserable, uncomfortable, and you're constantly wondering, why am I so upset with myself? A lot of times people don't upset you. Most of the time you upset yourself. So when you think somebody's upsetting you, Take a deep breath and wonder, why is it that you're getting upset so often about a situation or something that you could be preventing for yourself? Sometimes it's not everybody else that's causing you to get to that place of feeling aggravated. Most of us aggravate ourselves on our own terms. So let's try to exercise that for the next coming year. I really want to enter the year in a powerful, tremendous statement that you have to write down on your own and make sure that you're following it for the next season that's coming into your life. It is a year of completion, a year where you're going to complete all these things that you left behind that you felt you couldn't reach. But God is telling you today, it's going to be a year that you will complete them. A year where you're no longer going to walk in that shame. You're no longer going to walk depressing. You're just going to exercise who you really are in Christ. So I'm reading an article today, and it was actually related to what I was going to speak today. So I felt the need to share with you. It was, you can go to crosswalk.com and you can actually find how to protect yourself from these 10 toxic people. So let me give you the references of the many people that they listed on this article. And I want you to pay very close attention to some of it because we deal with this every single day. The controller. This person is a master manipulator and constant controller. They want to be in charge, not just of their lives, but of yours and everyone else too. It's toxic. Okay, right there, that's telling you it's not a good thing to do, because you can't possibly want to control someone else when yours isn't even there yet. So be very mindful how you come off about being a controller. The abuser. This person is desperately needy inside and takes it out on you and the world around them. Some of these people that we come in contact with, they're so needy. Every little thing about them is a needy position, a needy situation. They just feel that the world is against them. Why were they even born into certain people or certain households? These are needy people, but it's an abusive behavior when someone wants to bring upon you fault over something that they're dealing with. Okay? Let me say that again. When someone wants to bring fault to you about something they're dealing with, it's called abuse. So don't confuse abuse with everything else that you hear about domestic violence being the only source of abuse. Abuse is also when you're dealing with your past and you want to constantly hold on to that past and blame your significant other or the people around you for your past and for what you've been dealing with for decades. That's an abuse situation, because now you're bringing into account something that took place in your life that you haven't been able to deal with. You don't know how to deal with it. So everybody around you is someone who's just being looked at like, well, why that person having their life like that? And why can't my life be like that? I should have been in that position. I should have been in that place. You don't want to deal with your issue. So you'll rather abuse everyone else around you and make them feel horrible. It's wrong. It's toxic. It's poisonous. The other part is they're too easily angered. This person is one you always feel like you have to tiptoe around, like you never know what will set them off and fly into a fit of rage. Very typical today. Sometimes it could be at work. It could be in your house. It could be anywhere in ministry. You don't even know how to talk to that person anymore, because God forbid you say A, that person will be like, no, yeah. God forbid you say B, That person is someone who's constantly angry inside, who finds always fault in everything else. So you're walking like on eggshells constantly. You're tippy-toeing around them. You're trying to figure out how to say something, what to say, how to come off. Because if God forbid you say it in a way that is not in the mood they feel today, you will be called all kinds of names. You will be X'd out on the list. And this is real stuff we're dealing with. We're really dealing with some of these hurtful situations. They don't want to preach about it on the pulpit. They don't want to even teach it on Bible studies. They don't want to do any of that because they don't want to set people free. And that's one of the problems we're dealing with in ministry. We're dealing with it in so many levels. We need to be free. These are toxic things. These are poison poisonous things that are carrying us through decades after decades and after decades. And then we bring it upon our children, and then our children bring it upon their children. So we want to be very careful how we're using some of these abusive behaviors, controlling behaviors, and toxic and poisonous behaviors, assuming we should feel this way because we were entitled to be in positions like that. And God forbid, I was abused before and I don't know why. Guess what? We all have been doing something or dealing with something. You cannot fault other people. You have to find healing within yourself at some point. And if you don't know how, find someone who can help you. It is necessary and important that you do seek the help. You're not exempt from finding help. You're not exempt from being someone who's in need of some psychological help, not because you're crazy, not because you're just going in a nut house. It's because you want to heal. The next one is the bully. Oh my goodness. Not only kids bully today, we got adults that are bullies, okay? We got this person can be subtle or outright offensive in their attempts to bully, but either way, their desire is to dominate and make themselves look powerful. Any person who's a bully, whether it's a child or an adult, is someone who wants to look powerful. Someone who was neglected something in their childhood, someone who was neglected something maybe in their relationship, and all they want to do is pretty much put like a covering upon themselves to cover who they are so no one can come in and hurt them. So a person who's always bullying someone is always going to try to protect themselves from being hurt. That's really what it is. They're protecting themselves from being hurt. So they'll rather hurt other people. They'll rather bully other people. They'll rather control other people. They'll take you to the limit of getting you so angry to the extent that you lose your own self and you begin to lose focus on who you are, because now you're trying to say, wait a minute, I'm going to protect myself too. So now we got two bullies in the house. Be very mindful of that behavior when you have an offensive behavior. Everything offends you. Everything is always a problem. Somebody said this. Somebody looked at me funny. Somebody said something. You have to be very careful that these are mechanisms of hurts. Things you've been dealing with that you still haven't been able to get rid of. So you're still walking self-consciously, looking around and wondering, like tippy-toeing your way out of things. Be very careful about that behavior. The addict. This person is addicted to a substance or to a negative pattern or behavior that has severely affected their well-being as a person. Keep in mind, an addict is not just alcohol. It's not just something that is drugs. We can be addicted to even dealing with people around us. Just by the fact that we just like to be surrounded by this one person and we just love being around them. We're idolizing people. We're constantly just saying, this is my idol. This is my everything. And there's a certain limit to having that behavior. But when you go overboard and now you're becoming toxic to that individual, now you're also having to become addicted to something. So it's a pattern that severely affects the well-being as a person. Be careful not to affect other people in what you do with your behavior, because now you're including them in a situation that you're dealing with. Instead of using your situation to heal, you're bringing someone else with you. So it's just like having a conversation with my girlfriend and all I'm talking about is how bad something is going in my life, and here I am depositing into her something that is negative, a behavior of a negative pattern. Like if I want her to also be in that position because I'm having her take on all of the stuff that I'm dealing with. So basically it's saying that we want to be able to have our best interest and well-being into other people. That's very important to deal with and to understand and not take it lightly. We don't want our issues to become someone else's burden. We want to share to an extent that we can find help within these people, but not to the extent that you're overwhelming them, because that's also affecting who they are as individuals. The negative person. This person is the one who rarely has anything positive to say because they see everything with a negative slant and have no problem telling you why. We do see that constantly. People who always have an opinion, like I said in several classes before, they have an opinion, but they never give you the answer. They never give you the solution. It's negative when you have that and they just leave you basically handed, like, okay, I don't know what else to tell you. If they're going to tell you something, they got to give you the solution to the problem. The blamer. Let's stay right there for a minute. This person is never to blame, for it is always your fault. They will blame everything on others close to them. Isn't it ironic how we tend to point the finger so often and tell other people how is it that they're doing something that's not right, or how they're doing something that's definitely not into the place where you think they should do it, or the level they should do it, but you seem to always be blaming someone else more so than blaming yourself for something. You find in other people blame, but you never see your own. We're all going to be at fault with a lot of things, including myself, but we have to be very careful that we're not just pointing a finger and blaming someone else, and then we're doing the same thing and we don't even want to see it. Be very mindful that you're not always going to be right. As a matter of fact, none of us are right. Period. None of us are right. So even if you find yourself being at a position at that moment where you feel that your voice has got to be heard and you're trying to get your point across, don't just say that you're right about what you're saying. Just say, in other words, this is my opinion about what I feel or think, and I would like it to be heard. Not because you think it's right, but because you just want to make a point. So don't think that you're going to be right at everything, because that's not going to happen. It doesn't even exist. So brush that off your little head right now, because it's not going to work. The gossiper. This person is always talking, and usually about someone else. They have an overriding need to be in the know and to pass on the next juicy morsel to an open listening ear. Let me just say this about a gossiping person. A gossiping person is not always the person that's always just telling you somebody's business. Be mindful that a gossiping person is also someone who wants to be in the know. In the know. That means that person wants to know. They constantly feel like they have a need to know. Even if they're not giving some kind of, story to someone else, they want to be the receiving, the ones that always want to be in the know. That's also gossip, people of God. So you have to be careful about how you're listening also to certain people calling you or telling you something about somebody else or something that happened, because it's also considered gossip. Unless you offer to give a solution to the problem, unless you offer to find a way to say that you're going to pray about the situation that you really think is necessary, you have to be careful how you're using the terms of speaking with one another and not looking at it as a gossip perspective. Gossiping can be very toxic, very poisonous. It can ruin people's reputation. It can ruin people's lives. You want to be very mindful of doing things like this. The arrogant person. This person is proud, self-serving, and always right. Now, this one, compared to the person who's the blamer, this one is always right. I mean, always right. They'll rather tell you, in other words, even if they feel it's wrong, they'll still tell you they right. See, that person is self-serving. It's something that they need in themselves to be like a confirmation for them. Something they need to have confirmation about who they are. They'll rather just have themselves look like they're constantly good and great, when in all reality, they're lacking something. There's something about them that is probably messing with their mind, and they don't want to recognize it. We have to be very mindful that arrogancy is not something that we want to practice. We want to make sure that we are not self-serving people, that we're not just looking at ourselves thinking that we're so high and mighty, that we're so great in everything we're doing, or that we're better educated than other people. Don't do that. It is not healthy for you. It's not healthy for the people around you. And it certainly doesn't play a good part in the growth process of your life. Lastly, the victim. Not to be confused with one who really has been victimized in life and who is seeking God's peace and healing. This person is one who tends to feel they're constantly the victim. There are some people who are victimized by a lot of things that happen in their lives. So they are victims. They're actually considered victims because they're seeking God for healing. They're seeking God for peace. They want to seek the peace and the healing. But when you want to use victims, victimizing things for yourself as a means of getting some kind of pity, or people to just cater to you and come, wash your feet and all that other stuff, like you just have a pity party all the time, that's victimizing situation. situation is not something that you want to practice. It's poisonous. People who practice being a victim all the time about my past. My past was so horrible. Yes, oh my God, yes, I can't believe this happened to me. Why it happened to me? It's like, are you serious? Are you going to talk 20 more years about that? Does it really need to be? Is it that necessary? So now, do you want to get help? Do you want to be saved and healed? Do you really want to seek God to help you in this area? Or you just really want the attention of people to come around you and simply feel sorry for you because you've been victimized by a situation in your life? Take into consideration how Jesus was. He was constantly on the front run with so much going on with him. So many things he could have played a victim for, and he never did it. So we as children of God, we want to be able to practice from this day forward things that are going to help us get delivered and healed. Things that we know we have to identify. So if any of you can identify with all these 10 toxic things that we're reading off tonight, I really want you to do an analysis and begin to search your soul, search yourself, write down what it is that you need help with. Write down what it is that you will need to have some sort of idea of how to achieve the goal that you want. It's not going to be easy. I'm not expecting you to get delivered and healed and all of that by next week or by next year. I'm expecting you to work on it. I'm expecting you to do something about it. I'm expecting you to be that child of God that you were created to be. The one who he already appointed authority and dominion over. The one who he already died on the cross to heal you from all these toxicity stuff that you're dealing with and poisonous stuff that you're dealing with, because it is not going to help you grow. It's not going to help you get to the next level. It's not going to deliver you from all the things you already experienced, but you can be delivered today for the next level that you can get into. Your past is not going to be erased. Keep it in your head. It's not. But you can do something about your future and your tomorrow. And you don't have to walk victimized anymore. You don't have to walk arrogant anymore. You don't have to walk being blamed about things anymore. There's so many people who blame you for things that happen to them, and you still walking around feeling that it's your fault, when in all reality, you had no parts of it, because the behavior they encountered and what happened to them really didn't have anything to do with you. God allowed it to happen. God allowed it to be where it needed to be so that they could learn a lesson. Sometimes people like blaming certain things that are happening to them to you just because they need to find someone to blame. Even if you didn't have any parts of it, they're still going to want to blame it on you. Whatever it is that's happening to their lives, if they went, from the palace to the pit, and they're down and whatever, they still want to blame it on you. Let me tell you something tonight. You have done your very, very best in everything that you've done to date. And I don't care who's going to tell you otherwise. You better believe that what God created you to do and to be, he already manifested it to become what it is today. So you can't turn back and change it. What you can do is change what's going to happen moving forward. So don't allow anyone or anything to continue to control your thought process, your mind, your well-being, and allow you to feel like you are simply someone who's been failing at everything that you've done, or that it's not good enough at what you're already doing, or that you even need to do better or enough or even more. Some of us even push some people to be better than what they already are because we feel we can do that. Well, you went to doctorate school. No, that's not good enough anyways. There are people who do that. That's still not good enough. We have people that actually have these problems, and we think it's normal. It's not normal. That doesn't even fall into the category of normal. So we have to understand that whatever level we are, in whatever bracket we are, that's where we're supposed to be at that moment. Don't try to make your life become complicated over something that you have no control over. Some things, yes, you might have had control over, but it just didn't happen at the moment. You missed it, okay? That's fine. You missed it. You missed the time frame. You missed the timeline. And guess what? That's okay too. Because what God is trying to show you is that he's still available to help you get to the next level where you should be. And even though it may take you a little while, keep in mind that it's not going to be overnight, but you can make it happen. Do not walk in 2017 becoming a person who's simply having poison in your heart, poison in your mind, poison in your thoughts, poison in the things that you have no control over. Allow yourself to be free. Let yourself be free, and don't take on someone else's issue, someone else's problem, someone else's past, and even someone else's future into your hands. You need to take care of yourself. Take care of you and what you need. Take care of what God has for you, because at the end of the day, they're going to take care of themselves. I'm going to leave you with Genesis 21. Verse 8, I want you to read verse 8 through 13 when you get a chance. But I want to touch on this story because it has something to do with how it is that Hagar and Ishmael are sent away. You see, when jealousy comes into mind and certain things happen in people's lives, they always want to find someone else to blame. And we have to be very careful as children of God not to constantly feel that everyone has to blame us for a lot of the things that they're dealing with, because it's not fair to you. When Isaac grew up and was about to be weaned, Abraham prepared a huge feast to celebrate the occasion. But Sarah saw Ishmael, the son of Abraham, and her Egyptian servant Hagar making fun of her son Isaac. There you go, a little bullying situation. So she turned to Abraham and demanded, "Get rid of that slave woman and her son. He is not going to share the inheritance with my son Isaac. I won't have it." Right there, a selfish behavior, an entitlement behavior, a behavior of someone who just felt angry. All of these different things we're touching tonight. She was angry, so she felt at the moment all the attention that her son could have had, she didn't want to have someone else take away from her. People of God, it's in the Bible. These things happen. But you don't have to allow them to take precedence and take any kind of room in your life anymore. Either you're going to practice it or you're not. You're going to live it or you're not. Those are the two choices we have. We're either going to live it or we're not going to live it. Because when we do live it, we know that we're fulfilling God's promise. And when we're not going to live it, we're automatically insulting God and making him look like he's not a God that fulfills the promises over our lives. But he's written everything for us to fulfill what he promised us. All we got to do is follow it. The same way you follow people on social media, the same way you follow so many different folks, you just need to follow to the T what the book says. And you will have a life that will become better and better and better. It takes time, but you can do it, and you have to find a way to do it. Make the effort. Don't take lightly what God has written over so many years for us to be able to have a better life, and not blame everybody else about where we are today, why we haven't gotten to this place yet, why we haven't reached this goal. And then we just keep going in a circle over and over again, year after year after year. Next year is going to be the same thing. Not anymore. So let us understand tonight that the message is for you to identify those toxic, poisonous things that are not allowing your growth to be prosperous. It's hindering your growth. And I want you tonight to take the time to analyze it. There is no shame in analyzing your faults. There's no shame in analyzing the things that you have to work on. It's better to be actually able to identify it than to have to be in a position where you're just arrogantly ignorant about it and you think you know, but you actually don't want to abide by certain things to make it better. It's up to you. Everything is up to you. So I leave you with that tonight. Make sure you read Genesis 21, verse 8 through 13, so you can get an idea of how these poisonous different things played a role in that one little aspect of Hagar when it was dealt with Sarah and Ishmael. So we can get enlightened by just being able to practice some of the things that we need to get better at. I love you with the love of Christ. I really do. And I want you all to understand that in this new season, God wants us to be complete. He wants us to be fulfilled and complete. It doesn't have to be a financial thing, but it has to be a soul-saving thing. That means your soul's got to be in a place where you're content, you're happy, even if you had your last dime. Guess what? When your soul is happy, you won't even worry about where the next nickel is coming from, because God will provide. I pray God's blessing upon you. Meet us next Monday again at 8 p.m. That will be the last journey for the year. And I pray that you invite someone else. Make sure that you're downloading the app for the CWR network. Make sure that you're connecting with me on social media, or even send me an email so we can share with others. On Wednesdays and Thursdays, I want you to join the prayer lines. I just love the prayer lines. They're every Wednesday nights and Thursdays from 9 p.m. to 9:15. The number is 712-832-8290, and the access code is 166451. Please join us to pray every single week. Let me tell you, the testimonies that are coming in, the lives that are being changed and transformed is amazing. You will really get a blessing just being connected to kingdom-minded people that really love God, people that are humble about the things of God, and people who want to just grow and do better. So I pray that you can join us, and I pray that you also invite others. And please do me a favor. Make sure you're sharing what we're learning from the journey. I don't know how many of you are able to, but you will never know how important it is that someone may be able to hear it, and they may be able to learn something from it or be blessed by it. You never know who needs that word for that particular day or week. So please do it whenever you get a chance. I love you, and I pray God's blessing in favor upon your lives each and every day. God bless you, and thank you for joining the Journey Radio Show. Thank you, woman of God. Oh, you're so sweet, woman of God. God bless you, Periscope. I love all of you. CWR Network people that are on the line, I love you too. And I will see you guys soon. And next week, we'll meet again. Amen. God bless.